What's good, everyone? It's Nigel here, Black Sex Apparel. So I'm going to drop a quick video for you guys, and this one is relates to the bohooman controversy with balaclavas and whatnot. I don't know if you've seen any of it. They haven't. It's not like they haven't done this before, and it's not just bohooman. It's Asos and a few other brands that tend to perpetuate these negative stereotypes as it pertains to um, young black men. Now, if you go onto their website, you would, if you're looking for balaclavas, for whatever reason, maybe you still fear COVID or you're thinking about robbing a bank, uh, you go onto their website and you'd see balaclavas available. And these balaclavas, for the most part, are advertised on young black men, for the most part. And that's nothing new. Um, I went onto the Boo Man website recently and it's all sold out. So clearly they're doing very well and they're quite happy to carry on pushing that stereotype. But now, listen, it takes a, a better mind than myself to really break down the intricacies of why this is done. And yes, why it's done is because controversy sells, and putting these balaclavas on these young black kids, for example, is what they're doing, is what works for them. Now, they don't care about the repercussions of what they do. Essentially, all they care about is selling a product. All they care about is making as much money as they can. And I can't hold that against them. That's what most businesses tend to do. But nonetheless, I could give an opinion on what they do. And I think it's absolutely disgusting. I think it's wrong. I think it should be pulled on it and then people should check them on it. But that's probably not going to happen. Now, I'm going to delve into this whole crime statistics and what's happening in London and in the cities in the UK generally, not just London, Birmingham, Manchester, Liverpool, and the crime rate amongst youngsters is astronomical, right? So you look at what happens in terms of stabbings and whatnot in these inner cities, and it's appalling. Now, you could argue there's loads of or a multitude of different reasons as to why this is happening, right? But at the core of this is always going to be one thing, and that's poverty. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world, not just the UK. It could be America, Africa, the Caribbean, wherever in the world. If there is poverty, there is going to be crime. Poverty and crime goes hand in hand. So that's why I find it disingenuous when you look at the news and you see politicians selling you the idea that we need more police officers on the street and we need more police officers on the beat and that's going to reduce crime. Yes, of course, if you put 1,000 police officers on the high street anywhere in the UK, crime on the high street is going to be massively reduced because obviously there are a lot of police officers on the high street. But all you essentially do is kick the can to the other high street where there isn't police officers. Now, unless you want to put 1,000 police officers on every high street in the UK or every part of the UK, then yeah, you could try that and then crime would be drastically reduced, but that's impossible. The way we reduce crime is investing in communities. It's quite obvious, really. Investing in communities. That's how you reduce crime. Whether it be here in the UK, it doesn't matter where in the world you are, investing in communities is how you reduce crime. So this idea that politicians sell to us that more police officers, it's just nonsense. It just makes no sense whatsoever. And all you're doing is trying to fix a problem on the cheap. So rather than invest in communities, put football clubs, after school clubs, give people opportunities, apprenticeships and whatnot, they're taken away from us, or they're taken away from these kids. And especially in poor communities where parents probably can't afford to pay for these after school clubs, right? unlike the rich communities where they pay for their kids to go to whatever they do, whatever sports they play, whatever apprenticeship, or whatever they're trying to pursue. If you're affluent, you're rich, you're able to pay for these kids to go, your kids to go to these clubs. These free clubs, these social clubs are being taken away and being replaced with nothing. We all know what it was like when we were kids. On an evening after school, on a weekend, you wanted to do stuff. And if there's nothing to do, especially if you're poor and your parents can't afford for you to go places or do stuff, then what are you going to do? The likelihood of you ending up on the streets with the wrong crowd, you know, is tenfold, right? So the way we fix crime is by investing in communities. Pushing the idea that we need more police officers and we need tougher sentencing and we need blah, blah, blah is absolute nonsense. Nonsense. It doesn't work. It doesn't matter what part of the world we're in. It doesn't work. Not just the UK, but it doesn't work. If you can show me the statistics where an increase in police officers has reduced crime overall, not the analogy I used earlier where I said if you put a load of police officers in a certain part of any high street or any part of the UK, crime is going to reduce. That just makes sense. But the crime is going to be reduced in that particular area, and you're obviously kicking the can to another area, right? So it's going to be an increase in crime somewhere else, essentially. So overall crime hasn't reduced, right? So the fact that these politicians are not being called out every time they push the idea that more police officers equals less crime, overall it doesn't. It does not work. So again, the only way this can be done is if we invest in these communities. That's the only way. We cannot do it on the cheap. If we are serious about stopping crime, stabbings, kids taking a knife and stabbing someone else because, you know, and what you find a lot of the times is a lot of these crimes are drug related, right? Because these kids are poor at the end of the day. I'm not making excuses for these people. I don't condone what they're doing, but you don't often find rich kids selling drugs. You find poorer kids selling drugs, and because they're poor, they're trying to make ends meet, right? And it's wrong. Of course it's wrong. No one should be doing it. But if you give them no choice, what other choice do they then have, right? So you have to help them. You have to get into these communities. You have to help these people. And that's the only way we reduce crime in these inner city areas. Stop selling the ideas that more police officers are going to be less crime. Because essentially, you put a load of police officers on a particular area, they arrest a bunch of kids for whatever offences, they now have a record with the police, which then means they can't do things such as travel to the USA, for example. They apply for jobs, they have to declare that they've been arrested for certain offences. The job sees that in a negative light. They don't get employment, so it puts them might throw them in the trash can, or they're now committed to a life of probably crime because it's now difficult for them to get a job, right? Because they're now in the system. So it's frustrating when I see it happen over and over again. It's frustrating when I see the likes of Asos and bohooman push these negative stereotypes without repercussions. They're not investing in these communities. They're not building social clubs. They're multi-billion-pound companies, a lot of these companies, right? Do you see them putting that money back into communities and investing and helping the same kids that they put a balaclava on to sell their products? No, they don't care. And the government, for the most part, do they care? Well, I leave that up to you to decide. But anyway, that's my take on it. I know I went off on a tangent apart from what I started talking about the bohooman and Asos and whatnot. I went off on a tangent, but I hope you get the drift and what the point I was trying to make here, and I hope you understand the point I was trying to make is what I'm trying to say to you. Put your comments. I read every comment. I don't get many. I'm hoping that would increase, but yeah, I'd like to see your thoughts and your comments, and I try and reply to everyone as best as I can. Catch you in the next video. Take care. Peace.